guys, what is going on? Welcome back to Millennial Wayve. I'm Rachel Kayleen, and this is episode 41 with a very special guest. This is Caleb Fong.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, we're out here in Sacramento, California at this new WeWork that they just opened, which I'm absolutely obsessed with right now. We're literally the only people in here besides the cleaner.
Literally.
But Caleb Fong, he is an online fitness entrepreneur and coach. He's a new and upcoming speaker, which I'm super excited to talk about because it's actually one of our mutual connections. And him speaking at his event is one of the reasons that we're even in this room right now. And he's just doing a lot of exciting things. So I'm definitely excited to talk to you and everything that you've been doing with content creation, online fitness, coaching, everything else, top to bottom. So Caleb.
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, guys, for those of you that don't know, this is literally our first time meeting. So I'm always excited, just like I'm sure you guys are, to hear about these people's story and what kind of makes them who they are, what got you into entrepreneurship business.
Sure.
So why don't you tell them a little bit, just short, brief summary about who you are, why you do what you do, and what you're all about.
Sure. So I got into fitness coaching. Basically, I was into fitness my entire life. I played every sport you could think of. And then kind of stereotypical, like entrepreneur story, I guess. Dropped out 2 years into college. It just wasn't for me. Wasn't feeling it. My dad suggested I become a personal trainer. And I was like, well, sounds cool. So I tried it out. Got like a weekend certification. It was nothing crazy at all. I shadowed someone out of the gym and I was like, this place isn't for me. I don't really like this. A big corporate gym.
What gym?
I don't know if I can say.
Oh, okay. Don't say it.
It's
Sorry,
like a pretty big gym, yeah.
My first gym was Family Fitness.
California Family Fitness?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool.
My second gym was 24-Hour Fitness.
Oh, nice. Okay, I belong to 24-Hour Fitness, but I will not say
that's
what the
one of the
first
gyms
one was.
that you belong to. Wow, that's
right.
so weird. Okay, keep going.
So anyways, yeah, I didn't like the environment I was at, but I liked working with people. I liked fitness. I knew I liked that right away. So I was like, okay, I really have to do this right. So I spent the next 5 years learning from people, learning from mentors. I hired on my own coaches. I hired on people to teach me. And then I just kind of went guerrilla style with my own training people at William Land Park and all these other parks, getting kicked out because I didn't have permits. And then starting over again, just bringing all my equipment in my car, super hustle style. And then eventually started working at a private gym and realized that in order to scale the business even further, the potential was online. And that's kind of when I got into content creation, got into Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff, and realized that online was where I was able to scale bigger, reach a lot more people, and really get my message out there.
Okay, one of the first things I love is that you do online fitness, because there is people that I know that do online fitness, but then there's a lot of people that I know that don't do online fitness. For any personal trainers out there that believe that in person is number one, the best way to go, the only way to go. It's never going to take away from the online. People say that sometimes online will take away from the personable side.
Right.
So I want to know how you still stay personable with people, because you mentioned how when you were in the gym, although you didn't like the corporate atmosphere, you loved being around people and helping people. So tell me how you kind of transfer that online.
Sure, yeah. So I was an in-person trainer for 5 years before I took my business full-time online. So I knew what it took to keep that personal aspect. And all my other jobs were working with people, bartending in downtown Sacramento and all these different things. And so I've been around people my whole life. So I realized when I took it online, I was like, this is kind of interesting that I want to work with people, but I'm getting away from the person-to-person aspect. So with my clients in person, we FaceTime a lot. We do video chats a lot, monthly calls. We do weekly check-ins. They're talking to me all the time. I have a private Facebook group where they see me all the time. I go live every single week with all my clients. And even people that aren't my clients, I go live with all of them. So that's how I keep the personal touch with them, with all my online clients. Yeah.
Dang, that's impressive. And there's so much that goes into it.
A lot. Yeah.
There's so much. If you're doing lives every single week, if you're FaceTiming your clients all the time or just whenever they need it, that's a lot. Yeah,
it takes it up a notch. I'll have some clients FaceTime me in the gym, what is this machine? I'm like, I don't even know where you are,
Yeah.
And so, but I love that. I love being able to help them anytime they need to,
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, and then one of the first things you said is when you got into it, your dad was the one that encouraged you. You literally dropped out of school.
Yeah.
And your dad was like, do personal training.
Yeah.
Most parents are like, what the hell
That's
do you
right.
think you're doing, kid?
Yeah,
Like,
I know.
who
I
do you
got really
think you are?
lucky. I got super lucky.
That's crazy. What'd your mom say?
She was cool with it.
Really?
We had like a small conversation, like making sure I wasn't being super rash. Like I didn't think about this in one day. I had been thinking about it for the past 2 years since I got into college. So it wasn't like a super quick decision that I made, but they were cool with it. They were very supportive. They knew that whatever I was going to be doing, I was going to be putting my all into. I didn't quit college and then just like sat on my ass all day. Like the day I dropped out, I got like a job and started working towards what I wanted to do. So yeah, I got lucky with that for sure. Very supportive parents.
Definitely. So you've been training for 5 years now and you took it online, or you were training for 5 years and then you took it online?
Yeah, so I've been training in person for 5 years, and then 2 years ago is when I took my business online. Probably a year ago is when I went full-time online.
And did you notice a lot of growth when you went online?
First, like 6 months to a year, no.
No?
Not immediately, because the way I got into online training was the same way I got into my in-person training. Very like guerrilla style. I was just like, I'm just going to do this shit, like whatever I need to do, like message people kind of random. And then I started hiring on business coaches, and that's when I took off. So I invested like 10 grand into different business coaches. I had 3 coaches. I was in one mastermind, spent money that I didn't have at the time to hire these coaches. And then that's when it took my business to the next level.
Okay. You have to tell me, how do you find the right coach? How did you find these people? And was there any of them that you were like, ooh, never again?
Yeah. The first 3.
Really?
Yeah.
So it was like, you kind of feel like it was a waste of money?
No, I don't think it was a waste of money, because I don't even know if I would have found my last coach if it wasn't for these first 3. Okay. Who knows what would have happened if during that time, if I didn't, maybe I would have stopped training if I wasn't with them. I wouldn't kept pursuing my dream of this. So yeah, the first 3 were okay. They were good. They just didn't fit me. So, different coaches work with different clients and they fit differently. It's the same with personal training. Not every one of my clients is going to work well with me. It's the same with a business coach. So I think you really have to do your research. Like my last coach that I hired, I spent a lot of time researching him, following him, talking to him without like going through his sales calls and being like, no, but like, don't count me out, type of thing, until I've realized like, okay, he really has a similar touch to what I want. So that's how I got into that.
Interesting. So what are some of the key things that you feel like, even if every coach is different, like there's always someone for somebody,
right?
What do you think are some of the key things that someone should look for in someone to get mentored and coached by?
Sure. In terms of like a business coach?
Yes.
With a business coach, I think realizing that everyone's lifestyle is going to be a little bit different. So that means that their methods on how they're going to grow their business is going to be a little bit different. Versus like if they have like a cookie cutter, this is how I do it, you have to follow this way, it's going to work no matter what type of thing. That doesn't usually work out because everyone works a little bit differently. One of my coaches specifically worked for getting you leads on like Facebook, right? And at that time, Instagram was my main platform. I didn't really know anything about Facebook. So trying to convert over to that was a little challenging. So I think if you're looking for a coach, make sure that they are adaptable to your lifestyle and that they're going to be able to mold their coaching to your lifestyle, how it already is. Because then that's how it's going to work the best. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. So these people were working with you one-on-one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, they were working with me one-on-one. I was in a group of a lot of people, but we had one-on-one trainings.
And what was like the number one thing that you had to basically overcome that you realized was standing in your way? Or like, what are some key things that you took away? Because you said that for the 6 months to a year at the beginning, you didn't like see any progress. And then all of a sudden you had coaches and you did. So you have to tell me like what exactly kind of made that shift.
Sure. One thing is realizing your value for sure. I was undercharging myself so much in the beginning. Same with in-person training. When I first began, I was charging people like $100 for like 10 sessions. I was like, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was like, know what I mean? Like, I know. Dude. Well, I was at like a park too, I was like, I got no overhead. I just made $100. This is cool. I was like right out of college, like just finishing like 1.5 years. I was like, whatever is working. I just want clients. But I was like killing myself. I was like working so much, making so little. And then same thing with online coaching. I was like, okay, I'm going to charge as little as possible and give them great results and yada, yada, but that's just not the way it works. So I think having the business coaches, each one helped push me to know my value and charge what I was worth. And that made me just a better coach in general. It made me more confident with my coaching. It made me more confident when I came off to my clients, when I was talking to them, potential clients. And the other thing was just knowing where my audience was at. Knowing who you're talking to is very important, especially when you have a service-based business. If you're talking to the mass public, barely anyone will hear you. But if you're speaking directly to someone and they feel like they're talking specifically to you, like he's like, oh shit, like they're talking about my life right now. That's how you gain the right clients, right? That's how you attract your own type of tribe, I guess, of clients that you want. And that's kind of what my business coaches helped me do. Specifically, the last one I worked with, who I'm still working with to this day, he's helped me do that exponentially. So I think those are two main important key points.
Yeah, knowing your value, knowing what you're worth.
Right.
Being able to transfer that into financial funds on top of it.
Right.
So,
because you got to live, you know. So.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like some people... Yeah, seriously. But hey, right out of college, everyone wants to make some money. So, and we're okay with a little bit at the beginning, but then as time goes on, we're like, okay, this is a little...
it's not going to work. Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's kind of how I was with in-person training when I was working for corporate. I was asking my manager at the time, I'm like, how much do you make? You know, and he was a full-time coach, trainer. And he told me, and I was like, that's good, but, you know, how much do you make as well? And how old are you? And I was like, okay, I don't want to be, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, okay, that's fantastic. Like, he loves his life, but I didn't want to be in that position where he was at, you know, when I was his age. And so I was like, okay, there has to be like a better way to trade my time for money instead of the way it's working now. You know what I mean? So
100%.
Yeah.
So now that you're doing online though, do you have other people that work with you, like not clients, but people, other coaches, or how are you going to transfer that into the long term?
Yeah. So that's the next step. Okay. That's 2020 plan. That's two big plans in 2020. One is to hire on 2 coaches.
Okay.
Because I'm getting to the point now where I can't handle all the clients that are coming in, which is fantastic. No complaints. But
good problem to have.
Yeah, good problem to have. So I'll need 2 coaches. So like if you're listening, I need 2 good coaches, and so I will be like offering that out in the future. So I'll be doing like interviews and kind of applications for coaches because they'll be just getting leads and upon leads, just clients. So I'll still be doing the groundwork for gaining all the leads. They'll just get clients to work with. So in 2020 is when I'm going to hire on 2 coaches, and it's also when I'm going to look into acquiring a space for my coaches and I to meet.
Oh, dope.
Yeah.
So you said, do you still work for a like smaller gym?
Yeah. So now that I'm online, I'm able to pick and choose which clients I actually want to work with. So the clients that I do have been with me for years, and it's the people that I like to work with. So now I can turn down as many clients as I want to. I work with like 3 religiously at this other gym, but now
so you
I
do
get
in
to.
person.
Yeah.
You do in person as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I like that aspect.
Yeah. 100%.
I think it's good for especially coaches. There's a lot of online coaches now. Like people are just popping up left and right, but a lot of them have never worked a day in their life in the gym, and so they don't really know what it's like to actually be someone who's totally brand new to a gym, going in there and working out. Like, you have to know that stuff, especially online. You especially have to know what your clients are feeling when they're going into the gym for the first time, or when they're in a very uncomfortable position in the gym. You know what I mean? And you gain that from being in person.
Oh my God, that makes so much sense, because I remember when I was younger, I had played sports most of my life too.
For sure.
And in my senior year of high school, I was like, shoot, all I'm doing is cheerleading. No disrespect to the cheerleader. I was a cheerleader, okay? But I was like, I need to go work out. I need to go do something, you know? Yeah. So I went to the gym and I was like, what the hell is all this shit in here? So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take a fitness class and see that the community of people that kind of have the same mission as you, or like the coach that comes in and they help you and they tell you if you're doing it right or wrong or how to do the movement. That was really encouraging, because then when the classes weren't going on, when I was in the gym by myself and I had no one there to help me, or at least I didn't think I had anyone to help me, I just kind of referred back to what I learned in the class. So coaches are really helpful, and just anything where you can learn how to do movements and kind of get that nervous. I feel like a lot of people do get intimidated
100%.
Or they do get nervous when they walk into a gym. 100%. They haven't been in there in years.
Yeah.
It's very nerve-wracking.
They feel like they're being judged a lot of the times. That's probably like the most common thing I hear from my clients is like, oh, everyone's judging me, you know, but everyone's judging themselves in the gym. They're not worried about anyone else, you know. So.
Yeah, I agree. That's so true. People
like
go in there to work on themselves.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
100%.
People aren't looking around like, what the hell is that person doing? They're like looking at themselves like, I don't like this, you know?
Yeah, like, I need to work harder.
I need to do this shit, you know? Yeah. So they're not really concerned about what other people are doing. Yeah. And once people hear that, they're like, oh, that makes sense because that's exactly what they're doing. You know what I mean? So
exactly. Yeah. Honestly, if anything, most people don't want to be near anybody when they're 100%. Working out.
They have their hoodie on and visor all down.
Yeah, I'm just like, do not look at me. Do not talk to me. I'm not here to hang out with anyone. I'm here to get in, get out, bye. But that's some people's sacred place. And I'm sure you get a lot of people that, first are going to the gym and haven't been in a while, and then they end up loving it.
100%.
Loving it. 100%. Get addicted to the results. Get addicted to the feeling.
Endorphins you get.
Oh my gosh, crazy. That's awesome.
I'm the same way. That's my place when I want to go de-stress and not think about anything, for sure.
Exactly. So you have to tell me, do you encourage people to work out night, morning? I'm a night person.
That's fantastic. If it's a night person, if you're a morning person, I don't encourage either one. There's
really?
Not specific.
You're just like whatever.
Well, the thing is that what I realize is the same thing about looking for a business coach. You have to realize that whatever's going to work best for your existing lifestyle is going to be the best thing that works for you. If you're trying to go against your current lifestyle and whatever your schedule is and all this stuff, then it's just going to fight back. So realizing what the best times for you are to be the most enjoyable, you'll be able to do that for a lot longer. Versus if you were trying to go at hardcore 4 a.m. every single morning, 5 days a week, and you do that for a week, that's fantastic, but then you stop going after 2 weeks. It's worse to do that versus if you went maybe 2 times a week for a year straight. You know what I mean? So there's no specific time frame, but what I do with my clients is find out what's going to work best for their lifestyle, and then I'll kind of give them an idea. You could do this, do this, do this. If that works, fantastic.
What are some of your favorite healthy habits to tell people when they're first getting started working out? But not only that, just to incorporate it into their life to make it overall more enjoyable.
Sure,
and, make them feel good.
Yeah. So I think so. Just going on this could sound really simple, really easy, but it's extremely beneficial. If you can go on 10-minute walks, this is something I learned from one of my coaches and someone I train with. He started a little movement called the 10-minute walk, and 10-minute walk is just essentially just to encourage you to move a little bit more. And that's after a meal, you just go for a 10-minute walk. It's not it's going to burn millions of calories or anything like that, but it's just to get your body moving. And 10-minute walks, you can do as many as you want a day. They're really simple, especially for people that are I can't go to the gym for an hour, whatever it is. Some clients that I have, when I first start them, they're so beginner and so basic that's all we start with is you have to get 3 10-minute walks in this week. And if you do, you win. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You've accomplished what you needed to accomplish. So I think incorporating some type of movement every day, whether it be 10 minutes of walking, 5 minutes on a stair climber, or you take your dog around the block, whatever it is, I think is just going to elevate your life tremendously, any type of movement at all. In terms of nutrition, if you want to incorporate something called the 70-30 rule is what I teach all of my clients. This is very valuable for anyone listening. You can apply this. 70-30 basically is 70% of your diet. I recommend to be whole foods, nutrient-dense foods, vegetables, fruits, lean protein, all that stuff, good carbs. And then 30% is whatever the hell you want. And so that's every single day.
That's a lot, dude.
That's a good amount, right?
I'm going to go in there and eat all my Dove chocolate.
And at the end of the day, if you've hit 70% whole foods, 30% whatever you want, you're good to go. And that's a pretty good rule of thumb because it allows you to do that and maintain that enjoyably for a long time. Instead of being 100% whole foods, no junk food whatsoever, no one's really going to do that. You know what I mean? I don't do that. So it's if someone who's in the fitness field doesn't eat clean 24/7, you can't expect anyone else to. And I think 70-30 is a really good balance to allow flexibility and allow you to go, have your random brunches that you're going to go do and eat at 3 a.m. So whatever it is,
I have a friend who's in really good shape, and I'm in Vegas, so I don't really have a lot of people that I know out there, and he's from Sacramento, and he lives in Vegas, and we always meet up at Panera, and we talk about just random stuff in our lives, and every single time I go to Panera, he always gets a cookie, and this guy is in great shape. This guy is in really tip-top shape. I'm like, dude, what?
Yep.
And he's like, I like cookies.
Yeah, I'm like, okay,
do what you want. I'm like, okay, you want to go get a donut later? Then I'll invite him to go do sweet stuff.
Sure.
But that's so funny. I have such a sweet tooth. Yeah. And I was in one of the I know for a fact some of the times where I've been in the best shape of my life is when I'm eating full meals, it has a little bit of everything on there, and then I do have my little guilty pleasures.
Yeah.
But they're beneficial because I think that what you touch on is so important, consistency. As long as it's consistent, as long as you're consistent in a healthy way. Yeah. And I've done that before where I've just gone to the gym in the morning, like 5 days straight, morning,
turkey,
morning, and then I quit or I just stop and I do like intermissions, and then I'll go and I'll eat a lot and I'll feel bad, and then I'll be like, no, I gotta eat healthy,
and
then
the
I don't eat healthy.
cycle starts over. Yeah.
Oh man, it's just, and see, this is the thing, it took me years to even kind of figure out what my thing was, to figure out what worked for me. And it's one of those things, you just got to experiment. You got to see what works for you, what feels good. You know, it's always good to switch it up, do some different things. Maybe a couple. I've taken a few morning classes just to switch up my body and, you know, see what it likes and what it doesn't anymore. But as I get older, and as we all get older, I feel like we all like different things, and our mind change, our body changes, our schedule changes. So you gotta find out what's best for you, and consistency. For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, like having the flexibility is very important, I think, to being consistent, because without it, like you fail very quickly. You know what I mean? Especially if you're so rigid and so restricted. Like one of the things I tell a lot of people is to restrict themselves less. Like that's, as a fitness coach, I'm telling people that. And it sounds like total opposite of what you should be doing, but you have to realize, like, doing that yo-yo, like that cycle, that vicious cycle that you talked about, is so common. Like everyone does that. Everyone that comes to me does that. And they all just go through this yo-yo dieting, yo-yo fitnessing, and they don't know what to do. And they're like, well, I tried this. But every single one of those things is so extreme. That of course that's going to happen, because extreme on any end is going to make you quit eventually. You know what I mean?
100%. You get burnt out, or you just get quit, and you're like, I don't want to go today.
And then you have a terrible like attitude towards what that thing was. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like dieting, fitness, it's so exhausting and all this stuff. I'm like, no, it's not how it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? It's not supposed to be like that.
And then you got to reprogram them.
100%.
Just like people that have done things and they've quit, and then they have a bad annotation about it. And then you're like, dude, like
That's
just aren't
not what it was
educated.
about.
Or you just, have the wrong facts, or you need to, be told what's true and what's not. But that's incredible. Like just the things that you're doing. So you have to tell me a little bit, like you're heavily involved in fitness. You're a coach.
Right.
And you just mentioned that you're getting into speaking, and like you guys have probably seen on episode 38.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, Dean Masalta.
Shout out Dean, what up, man?
What's up, bro? He was on the podcast. He does Amazon FBA, and you just spoke at his most recent event out here in Sacramento, right?
Yeah, for sure. So, we just spoke at his event about a week and a half ago or so.
And I asked you if you do Amazon FBA, and because that's what Dean does. And you don't, but you went there as a speaker, just kind of like to talk to people about mindset and whatnot. Tell me like what you talked about.
So I talked about my 3 main points were basically like the mindset of an entrepreneur, because most of the people that are coming to those things to these workshops are entrepreneurs, or they're trying to get into some sort of field in entrepreneurship. So I talked about entrepreneur mindset, what it takes to actually become an entrepreneur, like the pitfalls of it as well. And then on top of that, I talked about happiness a lot. So I talked to them about pursuing your happiness, especially at this early age, that most of the people are there, and trying to take a risk towards something that could better their life in a certain way, and whether that be Amazon FBA or anything else they're pursuing. I talked to them about that a lot. I talked about my background a little bit just so they could relate, and then I got them hyped up. So I wanted to get the energy like on a different level before Dean got on the stage. So that's what I talked about, and it was fantastic.
That's awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
So tell me about like the pitfalls. Pitfalls of entrepreneurship. What exactly? Yeah. Well, tell me about one of your biggest mistakes. Or one of your biggest failures.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, people have to realize that when you get into entrepreneurship, you are starting something from literally scratch, right? So you have to learn like the paperwork and legalities of things, and like there's so much you have to learn that you don't realize going into it. And a lot of entrepreneurs aren't profitable for years at a time because they're building something. You know what I mean? Like, you got to think about any major company that's ever been built. Like, they started from scratch as well, and it probably took a long time to get them off the ground. And it definitely took me a long time to go off the ground. Like I was saying, I was undercharging myself. I was losing money before I started actually making money. You go into pits of where you don't want to pursue it anymore because you feel like it's not working. A lot of mental battles that you have to fight that nobody sees. I think a lot of entrepreneurs go through that.
100%. I agree. And that's one of the things that you dealt with within your first few years.
100%. Yeah.
So That's so true though. Like people will not be profitable. They won't see like a return on anything.
Yeah.
And do you think that's important, why you need to love what you do, or you need to
100%.
be very happy and excited about what you have going on?
I think you have to understand that even if as long as you're in the field of doing something that you love, that's one thing I talk to my friends a lot about. That's what I talk to the guys at the workshop about, was like, even if you're not the CEO, as long as you're doing something in your field, like you're going to be so much happier than if you're not. So even if you're like grinding your ass off as an entrepreneur, but you're doing something that you love in the field that you love, like you're going to enjoy that a lot more than doing something working for someone else that you don't want to do, which there's nothing wrong with that. But you know what I mean? So you have to at least understand that you're going to love the process of building something, even if you're not like super profitable at the beginning. You have to understand and realize that eventually if it goes somewhere like that, you're going to be so much happier than you could have ever imagined.
100%. And I want to know, like, do you encourage people, like, hey, if you're doing this and you're not making any money, should you quit your day job? Should you quit school?
No.
Should you quit what you're doing? No is the simple answer. Yeah. Okay, I like it.
Yeah, 100%,
you know.
for sure. You have to be safe in what you're doing. You have to understand that you have bills to pay. You got to take care of stuff. If you have rent, you got to pay for rent. You got to have somewhere to sleep.
You can't just be like, fuck it, I'm an entrepreneur.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go live on the sidewalk. Yeah. So you have to like be a little smart about things.
Yeah.
That's like when people are dropping out of college. I talk to people all the time about dropping out of college. It's just something that comes out a lot. I ask people a lot about what they're doing in life, like how their life is going. And a lot of people I talk to are in college saying like, I don't like it right now. You know, I'm super depressed right now in college and yada, yada. Nothing wrong with college, but if you're in a position like that, then you're probably questioning things. So I always talk to them and ask them like, well, what are you going to do like when you drop out? Like realistically, like literally, what are you going to do the second you drop out? You know what I mean? If you don't have a plan, probably shouldn't drop out, you know what I mean? But if you have an idea of which like actionable steps to take, that's fantastic. If someone has a 9-to-5 job, like keep that until you're building your side gig on the side and it turns into your full time. That's when it's realistic for you to go full time. I have a friend that started a clothing company in Sacramento, and he's doing just that right now. He's a sushi chef and he works like long hours, and then he'll come home. I see him post on Instagram at like 1 a.m. He's like clocking in, you know, for his side gig. I'm like,
Jeez.
That's how you do it. You know what I mean? Like that's what I did when I was building this, and that's what people do to be successful. You know what I mean? I think that's a smart way to go about it.
Definitely. So how do you think more people can find out what they want to do, what they love, what they want to be their side gig?
Sure. You gotta try shit out. You gotta try something out. You won't really know if it's gonna work unless you try it out. A lot of people are like, well, I don't know if I should do this because what if it doesn't work? Well, it's like, well, you wouldn't have known anyways, you know? So I think a lot of people look for what they are passionate about and they try to make that into a business. And sometimes that works great. If it works out, fantastic. But at the same time, sometimes that's not the most realistic thing. Your passion could very well not be a good business idea. But if you have an idea of something that you could see yourself doing when you wake up, and even if you're not making money for it, that you would still love to do, then I think that's a really good idea to try doing.
Yeah. Is fitness your passion?
100%.
So you were blessed enough to love what you do and also be able to turn it into a business.
Yeah.
And the people that may have a passion but can't turn that into a business, then what else is there? You know what I mean? If they can't even turn their passion into a business, what are they going to turn into a business if the one thing they're passionate about isn't profitable?
I think a lot of the times people have hobbies that they don't even know would be a business. You know what I mean? Your hobbies don't have to be your passions. Some people's passions aren't what they would want to do as a business. Sometimes it's something away from like their work, you know, whatever it is. But I think if you find something, if you know something makes you happy, like whatever it might be, you know, you want to play music or whatever it is, at least if you do that like sometimes during the week and you're trying to turn that into something, I think that's even better than not trying at all, because at least you're going to be thinking like, okay, I'm in the process of trying to make this into something that could be a career for me or, you know, provide me with things. So I think, I mean, if it's not your passion, maybe it's a hobby, maybe it's something that you do every day that you don't even know you do, that you love to do, something that every day you're like, this makes me happy. That could probably turn into something, especially nowadays with like social media and the internet. Like you literally turn anything into a business, you know what I mean? Like if you're really smart about it. So yeah.
For sure. Definitely. And how much do you think social media has to play a part in businesses and different things? Because
Right
one
now?
of the things, yes.
Yeah.
Big.
Big.
Huge.
Yeah, big time. Yeah.
Well, the thing is, you went from being face-to-face to online face,
Right,
you know what I mean?
right,
Or
right.
online
100%.
person to person like that. So regarding like leads, a lot of people get caught up in like all the technical aspects in it and getting leads and whatnot. Did you have to learn all that by yourself, or did you ever like hire out?
Yeah, I tried to learn that by myself and realized I was not good at it. And then that's where my business coaches came into play. Like they taught me all of that. A lot of them took care of that for me, but I wanted to learn how to do it. So I did both of that. I understand it now, but I have people that do that for me.
Oh, so smart.
Yeah.
And
you gotta know your your pros and cons and stuff. Yeah.
You have to know everything, like literally top to bottom, because if you don't, someone could take advantage and you could be vulnerable.
100%. Or that person stops working and then you just lost that part of your business. You got to know how to hop in there, you know? Yeah.
100%. 100%. I love it. So when you do like online and then you do online fitness coaching, then you also do speaking. You're just now adding speaking into like your portfolio. Let's say entrepreneurship portfolio here, right? Sure. So how can you kind of weigh both or carry both on your back, if that makes sense? I'm just using like really weird terminology
I got you.
But like regarding people that say, oh, don't go jump thing to thing, or don't add too much on your plate, you gotta stay focused. Because everybody, like regarding your business, whatever it is that you're doing, we all have like long-term goals, right? We all have like, oh, I want this to be at this point.
Sure.
And then when you go and you add on other things, that could potentially distract or slow down the process. So I want to know, what was your thoughts about adding speaking into what you're already currently doing? Because obviously it's going to enhance it regardless. Even if you're speaking about fitness or not, or you're speaking about motivation or not, whatever it is.
Brand's getting out there. Right.
Brand is getting out there 100%. So it's always going to enhance what you're doing. But how do you kind of add those things on, and how do you go about evaluating it?
So I think I made the decision to do that. I always knew I wanted to be a speaker. I knew in the background that's something I wanted to do. I don't really get stage fright. I love it. I get really excited talking to people. I got blessed with being in front of a camera like my whole life. My brother's like a film director, media company, so I just got put in that spot making like old YouTube videos and just got comfortable in front of a camera. So I knew I wanted to be a speaker, but I knew that it wasn't the right time while I was building my business. I think now that my current business is more streamlined, it's more automated, and I can do the work that I know I need to do with my clients at scheduled times during the week. I know I have more time now to be able to do that and start pursuing this other field slowly but surely and weaving it in. So I think I structured that very like thoughtfully. I knew that beforehand it wasn't going to be a good idea especially if I wanted to make it like a big part of what I'm doing. So I had to make sure that my business now was streamlined before I did that. But at the same time, like, I think there's nothing wrong with trying to juggle different things at the same time, getting your foot wet in different places, because if one thing takes off and you're able to build both, like, then you just won the lottery, you know what I mean? So
yeah, 100%. So you have to tell me, you have been doing so much over the last few years, and you also are now expanding, and you're gonna bring on a couple more coaches, and you're speaking and whatnot. What's like the long term? Like, I want to know like how you go about creating that vision for yourself and thinking bigger, because clearly before you, and this isn't the number one, well, you can credit it to this, but at the end of the day, you already had it inside of you. The business coaches just kind of helped to bring it out and help you see it. So how did your vision get bigger after working with those coaches, or just in general, how did you kind of transfer that into real life, and how can other people create a massive vision to be able to carry them to the finish line?
Sure. That's a really good question. I think one thing to know is that I don't really have a ultimate game plan in the end. I don't have an end where I'm like, this is it, where I finish. It's more so big steps along the way, and I kind of like not knowing what the future is going to really hold. I kind of think that's exciting. For some people, that sounds a little scary, which I totally understand. For me, that's very exciting. I like trying to try different things and have big goals that carry me to the next step. I have many goals in the future that I know are going to be long-term goals, but I don't really know what I'm going to be doing 20 years from now. Who knows? But I know that I'll be pursuing it my own way. I think having a vision in the end is very important, but also to keep in mind that things can change and you don't really know when those things are going to change. So I think being able to bounce around and being able to think on your toes very quickly about, now I got to change directions, I got to set new goals, type of thing. Adapt exactly to whatever life's going to throw at you is very important. So personally, that's for me. knowing what the future is going to hold is fantastic, but at the same time, it's kind of exciting for me not to know that as well.
Yeah, focus on be present.
Be present for sure, and understand like your path, what you're going to be doing. I know as a fitness coach, I'll be a fitness coach for the next foreseeable future, maybe for the next 10 years or so. But after that, I don't really know. But all I know right now is that I'm going to build an amazing team of coaches. That's my next big goal, is to build an incredible team of coaches based in Sacramento, maybe beyond that, that people know as like a team of coaches that are the highest level that you could get right now.
Yeah.
And that's like a big goal of mine to have. So that's kind of the near vision, as you were saying. But for long term, I don't know, man. We'll see.
Yeah, that's crazy. I love it.
We'll see.
Cool. Tell these people where they can find you.
Yeah, for sure. Instagram, Caleb D. Fong is my handle. Facebook group, I have a free Facebook group that anyone can go to. It's called Caleb Fong Fit. It's free to join. I do
Caleb
live videos.
with a C.
Caleb with a C, the only way to spell it.
Okay, boom.
But it's a free Facebook group. I offer advice in there. People ask questions. I answer all the time. But Instagram and Facebook are the main ways to find me right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
And then last but not least, you kind of already mentioned this throughout the podcast, but what opportunities besides, or if that's the only thing that people have available to work with you, work for you, work around you,
get
mentored by you, whatever the case
that.
may be, even if it's outside of fitness, how can they do that?
Sure, yeah. So I do one-on-one coaching. That's the main thing that I do right now. I work with clients one-on-one for 3 months at a time. That's my coaching service. I do group coaching as well, small group coaching, all online as well. You can apply, not yet, but you will be able to apply to be one of my coaches in the near future, starting in 2020, hopefully. And that'll be all online. And if you ever want to just talk to me about how I got started, you have troubles where you are right now, trying to figure out what you want to do, your next step in life. I don't have all the answers, but I can relate to a lot of the things that you talked about. And I'm always super, super happy to talk to people about that.
Cool. Love it. All right, guys, you heard it here first. Caleb Fong.